So when we started working together, I run a 10K back in June, and I started feeling pain. Uh, so I started experiencing a lot of pain after that, and I couldn't run too much. I was running, I think, after that race, I took a little bit of a break, did some physical therapy, and then I was doing like 2 miles max, maybe without pain, which is how we connected. And I had signed up for a marathon, which I didn't get to do at that point. But it's been a good learning experience so far. I didn't do the full marathon, but I did a 5K and a half a week ago, or this past weekend.
Tell me a little bit more about kind of what you did to try to work on the knee pain before and what we did a little bit differently together.
Yeah, so well, the first thing, which is kind of one of the things that attracted me to like contacting you and just working with you, was I had already seen a sports medicine doctor who suggested shots the first time, and it's like, we can give you shots so you can run the marathon, but there was really no explanation as to what that would do. I was already doing physical therapy that was very focused on like resting, like just kind of flexibility exercises. My physical therapy was good, but she wasn't really focused on understanding running and why. Like, to me, it was knee problems is what I had, right? And even, I mean, family history, everybody's like, well, we all have knee problems in our family, so that's normal, right? Um, but I don't think I understood the actual nature of what's involved. Um, and I think just working with you, like I've been able to learn a little bit more of what that means. Like, you focus on like understanding that, yeah, I might feel that pain on the knee, but there's strengthening quads, hamstrings, glutes, things that I was like, I mean, I'm sure everything is connected, but I don't think I had intentionally heard that in the past. So uh, if had I kept going in that route, I would have stopped running probably.
I mean, this is something that a lot of people are really dealing with. They'll go to a healthcare provider, they'll give them like an injection, they're told to rest, do passive exercises, and it maybe gets them better for a bit, but it's not really prepping you for your running or whatever exercise you want to do. Talk to us a little bit more about how we prepped you for these races.
So I mean, the one thing that I appreciated from the beginning um, was, I mean, I was super excited to keep training. I had been training. I was looking forward to this my first full marathon. And I think at first I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I'm gonna cancel. Uh, but initially it was just like, let's focus on like the strengthening, right? Like strengthening exercise that I like. To me, even I think at the beginning I was like, well, this is like kind of silly, because I'm like, I feel like I had strong legs.
Mhm.
Right? I was like, but then there was like, okay, let's try the strengthening first, and then you give me some mobility exercises, but really helping me understand what they were doing. Because sometimes you'll ask, where do you feel that's working? And I'm like, my leg, like quad. And you're like, well, yeah, but so I think there was a lot of you were really explaining the process in a way that was helpful, and not necessarily just telling me what I wanted to hear, but I think you sometimes would ask, what do you understand what this means for you running and for your own, you know, like knee especially. So I think that was important. But then I think at some point we also talked about how, I would say, well, this is week second, week two, and I'm still experiencing pain. Like, what's going on? And you will say, like, oh, it's not a linear process. Sometimes you're gonna feel it. You're not gonna eliminate 100%, and sometimes go back. And I remember the first, I think it was like 4 miles that I did with no pain, and I was so excited. And then you were like, okay, but be realistic. Uh, but I think those were the things that really helped. Of course, the exercises, the strengthening, the mobility exercises were super helpful. but really being able to check in to understand, this is not a one time fix solution. Like it's you have to be constant and consistent with what you're doing. Uh, and I think that's the difference with traditional medicine that I was experiencing, like either shots or get a new knee or whatever it is, like, but it's like
Mhm.
more like this is gonna fix it. And I think that the just honesty, like, yes, you're gonna assume you might experience some later, but that doesn't mean that you've gone back to the problem. And I think that helped me also with framing how I approach each run. Like, because I remember even just going like, oh, I did 1 mile, but the next run was like 4.5 or something like that. And it was every time it was a little less. And as we progressed, you adjusted the training, the exercises, the length of running, the tempos. And I think
Mhm.
all those things, even though like I said, even though I've been running for a long time, with not in this level, just understanding even some of that terminology that I didn't know before was super important.
Like a lot of the stuff that we're doing together, it's not like groundbreaking. It's not anything really new, but
No,
the process and the way that we do it makes all the difference.
yeah,
Understanding like the rationale, understanding where you should feel the muscles working, all of that makes such a big difference in in terms of success or just kind of staying status quo.
yeah.
You bring up a good point about like the mindset, and I think that's been a big part of your journey. Tell me a little bit more about how your mind shift has shifted since before we started working together and then now.
I mean, I think when I was saying like I did the traditional route when I started experiencing pain. I went to the doctor and they're like, oh, go get x-rays. The x-rays were like, oh, you're fine. But the thing they told me is like, well, you're not that young anymore. So you should not, running hurts your knees. And like all the things that kind of make sense, right? To an extent. But then it's like, okay, so if that's the case, like I wanted more answers than just don't run anymore. Especially, I think we talked about the period where we met. There was a lot happening in my life, and running was like my outlet, and not being able to have that was like it was just not good. So seeking more answers to some like questions that I had. So initially was like, oh, if I'm experiencing a little pain, I should stop because that's worse for it's gonna be worse in the long run. And um if I'm not like, I don't know, just feeling a little bit of discomfort is like, oh, I shouldn't do it, right? And I think little by little, I was like, okay, well, it kind of showed me how am I stepping, how am I like even that initial video analysis that you did of my running, like I hadn't ever thought of that. So just I guess thinking of pain as part of the process, as long as it wasn't debilitating and like concerning, right? I think that helped me be like, okay, this is okay, and let's find different ways and try different things. Because even though I think at one point I asked you, should I go get another MRI or an X-ray? And you're like, well, what are you gonna find? And I think it's in those moments that I felt like I don't know what the solution for this problem is. I just want, I don't know, something else, right? Um,
Mhm.
but I think just reframing, like, and going back to the idea that running, like, obviously not to compete and be first all the time, but recognizing what that does to me. Like, yes, I'm experiencing a little discomfort, but what it's doing in the overall aspect of my well-being, it's actually better.
It almost never goes the way like, hey, we do these exercises and it's amazing and you feel nothing. It's a process. And I want to go back just a little bit. You were saying like when you saw the doctor, like get an x-ray, kind of stop running. I recently posted a video about this. I'm like,
Yeah,
if they tell you that, they basically just don't know how to fix it. It's just kind of like a
yeah,
scapegoat, so to say.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, you've been able to progress a lot. You did a 5K and you did a half marathon. Tell us a little bit about that.
And we had talked initially, like. my goal was to finish like under 23 because my last raise was 23 or something, like 24. But I was like, if I can beat or at least to 23, that would be like a win, right? Uh, and then, I mean, I showed up to the race thinking that I was just gonna try to run it because I was experiencing pain 2 days before, and I don't know if it's gonna happen. And then I like did, I think I don't remember, 21 something. So I was surprised on my, like I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how I did that. One because it was very slippery and icy. Um, but I think, and this is a time where I felt like, I think you said it earlier better, but like I'm the only one who's limiting myself, right? Like I think I have more potential that I give myself credit for, but I didn't ever think I could run like, under 7 minute mile again. And then when I looked at like, average pace was 6:59, I was like, oh my God, wow, that's incredible. And then fast forward to this past weekend when I did the half. Again, last time it was like 2 hours and 20 something minutes. And at this point, I was like, I'm not gonna push myself and I need to, be good. And if I feel too much pain, whatever, I'm stopping. And I just kept going. And then again, 2:03. It's a good way to close the year, two PRs, and not only in the running, but I think I'm also looking at it in life, right? Just moving, it's important, but learning how to move also is, I think, the biggest lesson. Like again, it might sound so simple, just put one foot in front of the other, but really understanding how to do that. I am now a believer that yes, think you can fix certain things without having to get injections or like traditional methods because there's like I am finding out how to like run in a different way than I had done in the past.
I really appreciate you sharing your story. And the thing that we were talking about before is you're capable of a lot more than you think.
Yeah,
Although you might be far removed from like when you were in high school, there's no reason why you can't get new PRs
yeah,
in this frame of life. Like, I work with people in their 60s, 70s that they're still trying to get faster, trying to hit more goals. And I think if we continue to set goals, you're going to set yourself up for success, and you're just going to be happy with your results.
yeah.
It's been super fun watching your journey, and watching you grow as a person, mindset shifts, improving your knee. Is there anything else that you want to add about your experience with the program?
No, I mean I can just infinite amount of gratitude for just patience, giving me the opportunity to be part of it. Uh, it all just landed in a way that the universe works. I don't know, but I welcomed it because I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would have done it otherwise. Like I don't think if we wouldn't have if I wouldn't have worked with you, I would not have done that. I would have canceled the half marathon. I wouldn't deferred it. I would have just canceled it. And I don't think I wouldn't have pushed myself to run with pain. I would have just listened to traditional medicine say rest, don't run, and reset, right? And if you don't work on those little muscles that you in exercises, whenever that reset happens, it's gonna be back to the same problem. So I
Yeah.
just yeah, just infinite gratitude for the opportunity and for supporting me.